Stocks are crashing all over the place. We have some stock market drama finally out here in this market. I want to take you guys through what's going on here, why this is going on, what my plans are, and anything else in regards to this. So appreciate everybody joining me. I just want to jump straight into this here today, folks. I got so many earnings going on. It's a busy time here at the Lefebvre household. Okay, so nonetheless, you see stocks like Palantir down 7% here today, Shopify down 7%, Fubo down 6+%, right? A lot of big downward moves. I mean, Palantir, it just goes back to where it was a few days ago, but nonetheless, a 7% move is pretty darn big, right? You got a lot of these big dog stocks making some pretty nice downward moves as well, 3+%, right? Tesla. You got PayPal, which I like this setup going into earnings. I will be honest. I'd rather have us, have a cold day going into the earnings report than a red hot day. You got Amazing's on down about 3% here today, Meta down about 3%. I mean, if you add up the market caps just between what Tesla's down here today, Amazon's down here today, and Meta's down here today, that's probably, I would say, about $100 billion, if not a little over $100 billion of market capitalization lost right there just between those three stocks here today, right? You look at safety stocks. I have a safety stocks watch list, and the reason I have this is most of these stocks are not even interesting to me, even remotely. The reason I have this watch list is strictly for days like today. I usually don't even look at this watch list unless it's a day like today where you're seeing a lot of huge downward moves, because I want to see, is this a broad sell-off of the market, like everybody's just selling everything, or is this some sort of repositioning of stocks and some sort of rotation, okay? And what we're going to find here today is clearly this is some sort of like, oh, let's sell out of some of these, big dog stocks or these stocks that have been performing really well, and let's rotate some of that money into safety stocks, because safety stocks are doing great today. I mean, look at how many green stocks there are for safety stocks watch list here today. That's extraordinary. You know what else I want to say? I want to say, okay, where's the hottest place in the stock market been? I'll tell you exactly where the hottest place in the stock market has been AI stocks. I have a watch list full of AI stocks, okay? These aren't the only AI stocks, it's just a lot of AI stocks. Let's see how all those guys are doing today. We got any green? Absolutely not. It is Red Dead Redemption across AI stocks here today, right? AMD, which had a horrible earnings report, absolutely dumpster fire. We looked at that earnings report in yesterday's video, right? It was awful. And the stock was actually going up after hours, which, just kind of told you that people are just really looking in the future. But here today, the reality check came in, and the stock is down about 7%, right? Palantir, obviously, we spoke about. NVIDIA taking a big downward move. The reason NVIDIA is really taking a big downward move is because AMD's numbers were so bad that a lot of people are starting to doubt NVIDIA's numbers. They're like, I even heard somebody say, NVIDIA's lying about their numbers, okay? Listen. NVIDIA is way ahead of AMD in regards to selling AI-related chips, okay? And so AMD, you could see a lot of very nice numbers from AMD in 2024, but this year, NVIDIA is the one putting up the big numbers, okay? So I think some people are making the mistake that assuming because AMD's numbers are bad, NVIDIA's numbers are going to be bad. I mean, AMD's revenue was down 18%. So a lot of people are saying, how in the hell is NVIDIA going to have revenue up 60+%, which is what the company was saying they're going to do and what analysts have them doing, 65% growth. Like, usually AMD and NVIDIA are going to grow somewhat similar. One shrinking their business that substantially and then one growing their business that substantially, that's, it's something that freaks people out, right? And so obviously anything AI related today, down. Banking related. Yeah, you got some big downward moves even in banking today, right? SoFi making a pretty big downward move. It's back under $10 again, about a 5% downward move. Ally, 4% move. Deutsche Bank, I love saying Deutsche Bank, that one down about 2.7%. So banking plays all down across the board. Big tech in general, yeah, a lot of Red Dead Redemption out there. Palo Alto Networks down 6+% here today. Snowflake down about 6%. Micron down almost 4% here today. So a lot of big downward movers for the big tech. What about Cathie Wood? Cathie Wood and her stocks have been very, very hot, as we know this year, right? TARK, which, by the way, if you've never heard of TARK, it's basically like a 2x leverage on Cathie Wood's fund overall, the main ARK ETF. So yeah, on a day like today when ARK's getting pretty wrecked, this is going to get double wrecked essentially, okay? Exact Sciences, which has always been a big popular stock for her, down 10%. Unity down almost 8%. Unity! Remember that from Chappelle's show back in the day? That's what I think about every time I see that. Twilio down over 6% here today. Teladoc down 6%. Roku down almost 6%. ARK in general down huge. Yeah, it's one of those sorts of days here today. I don't know why I got that on there. I just remembered I put that on there. Oil and gas stocks, okay? Oil and gas stocks obviously all getting hit pretty darn heavy here today, right? Now, something I like to say, okay, is remember earlier I talked about having a watch list, like safety stocks just kind of tell me what's going on. My second watch list I have, that this is really strictly for letting me know what's going on in the market in general, is I have a travel watch list. The reason I have this is on a day like today, I like to say, is this a recession concern? Because I can tell you, if all these big moves you're seeing were recession related, like, oh, I'm scared recession, travel stocks would get hit huge, okay? And what we're seeing today is travel stocks are not getting hit like that, right? Southwest actually is green today. Oobity Booba stocks down only 1%. Delta down 1%. United Airlines down 1%. MGM down 1.5%. So today's drop is not a recession fear drop, okay? So I think that is important. We all understand that. Solar Edge Technologies is down, oh my gosh, almost 20% here today. What a massive move. You guys know me, I don't like any of these solar related stocks, especially right now in this sort of market with the interest rate environment the way it is. Solar is just very expensive. I was speaking with a friend yesterday. He was saying if he got solar at cost for his house, he's talking about $60,000 at cost. He's saying usually that would be $80,000 to $100,000 for a house like his. I'm like, that's ridiculous. You know, and just that's in high interest rate environment, that's just not ideal. And he was saying, well, if you got a loan, it'd be like 10% interest rates. It's ridiculous. So anything in relation to solar is just not in right now. And it's not going to be in until interest rate environment changes, okay? So this is bad news for all those. I don't even like Tesla being in the solar business. You guys know my opinion on that. I want Tesla to actually leave the solar business. I know that's a hot take, okay? Controversial statement. I'd rather Tesla just get out of the solar business. I love solar technology, but the business of solar is not good, okay? And I don't see it being good anytime soon until eventually the Fed has to drop rates because of a massive recession. But if there's a massive recession, do you think that's going to be good for these solar stocks? No. So they're in just a really tough place for years to go in the future. Generac Holdings down they lost almost a quarter of their value here today. This stock's down over 24 flipping flapjacking percent here today. I mean, what an insane move. But a stock like this, okay, this was, during Rona, it was a hot play. Everybody wanted a piece of Generac, right? With everything that was going on, it led a lot of people to be very fearful of many things, okay? So Rona, the shutdowns, people forced to be home, and then you saw the riots and the protests and all that stuff that's going on in the city. And a lot of people start thinking like, oh my gosh, I'm scared, you know, I got to protect my home and my family, so I need to get a generator just in case, you know, the whole world ends or something like that. And so a business like that saw a huge uptick, and now they have the come down of that, right? It's actually a good company. You know, I don't know if it's a stock I'd personally own, but I actually have no problem probably, you know, I wouldn't be surprised if this is actually a great buying opportunity over the next few months in a company like this, okay? Scotts Miracle-Gro is another perfect example of a company that, and I'll tell you if I think this is actually a good buy or not in terms of Scotts Miracle-Gro, but this is another one that benefited huge from Rona. When Rona was going on, the shutdowns were going on, everything like that, 2020 through obviously 2022, so many people got into gardening and just all this weird, I don't want to say weird stuff, okay, but all this stuff that people would never have considered because they're forced to be home, and then all of a sudden they're like, let me start buying plants, and let me buy a garden, and let me do this and do that, and let me, you know, take care of my backyard and front yard better than I used to in the past, right? And a company like Scotts Miracle-Gro saw a huge uptick from that. I mean, Scotts Miracle-Gro went parabolic. It's insane. Scotts Miracle-Gro went from a little over a $50 stock to, you know, $250 a share or so in a matter of about a year. You gotta be flipping my flapjacks. That was insane, right? And now it's back to a 50-something stock, right? The come down has happened for that. You know, companies like this, companies like Generac, companies like Scotts Miracle-Gro, they don't have unlimited growth. This is not a Palantir. This is not a Tesla or some of these other companies that can just keep growing and growing for decades and decades in terms of high growth rates. These companies have certain market segments. They continue to put up those numbers. They can have some freak stuff that happens every once in a while. Now, in terms of do I think a Scott's Miracle-Gro is actually a buying opportunity? For a stock like this, I will say yes. Okay, a stock like this is actually a good buying opportunity if you're a long-term investor. How it performs over the next 3-6 months, I have no clue. But I would not be surprised at all if this stock does very, very well over the next 3 to 6 years. A company like Scott's Miracle-Gro, at the end of the day, it's still going to be a business that's highly relevant 5 years from now that it is today, okay? And so that's that. Next one up here, Paycom Software, down about 19% here today. This one, did they report some sort of disaster numbers or something like that? No. At the end of the day, this is just a valuation moment for the stock, right? Valuation trades high on the stock, and I think it's just a lot of people. The thing you got to understand about a market like this is a lot of people are looking for a reason to sell some stocks. A lot of stocks have been performing tremendous. A lot of people are just looking for give me a reason, and we got that reason. And I'll go through that here today in just a moment. But that's what it comes down to with a lot of these stocks, and you can see some absolutely epic sell-offs in some of these stocks. And Paycom Software is a perfect example of just feeling the pain here today, right? Now the VIX is up nearly 15%, so the VIX spiked to $16 here today, or we can just call it 16. The interesting thing about VIX is still in a low state. So do keep in mind when VIX is really elevated, it's 20 plus, and when you're talking about really, really elevated, you're talking 30 plus. So we're still quite a ways away from that, but at the end of the day, if this VIX keeps spiking, don't be surprised if the market keeps dropping. At the end of the day, those two kind of go hand in hand, right? SQQ is having a very good day here today, up 3.44%. So this just goes to show you, it pays to have some hedges out there. We've been up pretty much in a straight line, right? At the end of the day, you want to have a few hedges here and there. It doesn't have to be a massive position for you overall, but you need to have some hedges in this market because in case of things ever get ugly, right? Let's imagine a VIX that goes back to 30 for whatever reason, or maybe it's a multitude of reasons, right? You get to save some face on the other side. You get to make a bunch of profits on the flip side, right? And then go ahead and shuffle that money into some long positions then. Now, today's such a bad day out there for countless stocks that it's even holding back ELF on a shelf, which we just crossed a 1,700% on ELF. I mean, absolutely incredible. Stock's up 15% today. If the market was just decent today, this would have been a 20% plus mover, but 15%, I can't complain on this one. Absolutely insane. Their numbers are ridiculous right now. Somebody said something interesting. They're like, it's crazy to be up that much in a stock, and it's actually still a buy. And the more I thought about that, the more I'm like, yeah, that's true. I mean, I've been up such insane percentages on ELF for a while, right? I mean, insane percentages meaning 1,000% plus. And ultimately, it's just been actually still a buy. It's the craziest thing to think about. It's a hard thing to wrap your head around when you see a stock like that. But at the end of the day, remember, there's people sitting on AMD shares that they're up 5,000% on right now. There's people sitting on NVIDIA shares right now that they're up 10,000% on. There's people that own Tesla stock that are sitting on gains of thousands of percent. I own shares personally that I'm up 1,000 to 2,000% on, right? So that is something to keep in mind. Now, in terms of why the stock market's down huge, in kind of my perspective on all this, and do I think this is going to continue in my views on all this, this is why, okay? So, Fitch downgraded U.S. long-term rating to an AA plus from a AAA, right? Now, I called this out in last night's video I put out on the main channel, or I should say yesterday's video on the main channel, right? And I said, something like this is going to be a boogeyman in the market, right? It's not as scary as probably in 2011 what happened, but it is going to be something that just gives concern out there for a lot of folks. Now, the interesting is I've seen a lot of people kind of dogging this move in a substantial rate, right? Look at this. Fitch vying for credibility with U.S. rating downgrade. And so basically just saying Fitch is just trying to stay relevant any way possible. And when I think about something like that, right, usually I would kind of side with it. But I don't know if I'm really siding with this. When I look at what Fitch wrote here, I don't know if I can really say this is just Fitch, vying for credibility or something like that. because I heard a lot of people poke at this. In Fitch's view, there have been a steady deterioration in standards over governance over the last 20 years, including on fiscal debt and debt matters. Notwithstanding the June bipartisan agreement to suspend the debt limit until January 2025, the ratings agency said, Fitch also highlighted that the rising general government deficit, which it anticipates will rise to 6.3% of GDP in 2023 from 3.7% in 2022. That's huge, okay? That's a huge move. Cuts to non-defense discretionary spending, 15% of total federal spending, as agreed in the Fiscal Responsibility Act, offers only a modest improvement to the medium-term fiscal outlook Fitch set, right? I can't disagree with that. I don't think Fitch is grasping for straws here. The government, constantly pulls this game of like, let's push this debt agreement to the last possible moment. I don't think it's a good look. Obviously, government deficits are in a bad spot. I don't have a problem with Fitch making the move it made. As a United States citizen, I understand it. And I don't think this is just them vying for credibility. I really don't, okay? That's my personal stance on this, right? Now, overall, this is a great moment for the market to catch its breath, and that's how I feel about this, right? The market's been up in almost a straight line, and so I think this is a very, very healthy thing for the market to overall catch its breath. Now, in terms of, I had to come inside, it was getting a little noisy out there. So, listen, okay, we have been, we can call it that, this year, right? This is a look at the public account this year, right? Which is up to $1.8 million or so. This is a year to date, okay? Right out the bat this year, we went on a massive sprint up, right? And climbed several $100,000 very quickly. Then we kind of had this time period, SVB and all that drama. And then we got ready to go on another huge sprint, which we climbed, this account has climbed probably about $500,000 since right around here, right? If not over that. So the thing to understand out there for everybody kind of watching this in how to approach this market moving forward, okay, here's my 2 cents. One, root for the market to go down short term. It's going to present better buying opportunities if that was to happen. 2, make sure you're a little hedged out there in the market, just a little bit. A little bit goes a long way. If you're talking about any sort of substantial drop at the end of this year or in 2024 or something like that, a little hedge is very nice, okay? And it's a very comforting feeling. I don't worry about market drops even. 1, I know I always have some cash around. 2, I know if the market drops in any substantial way, my hedges are going to make a lot of money, right? And 3, this is, we need some of these kind of pullbacks because I can tell you the market's been so red hot this year. You need some nice breathers. And sometimes these breathers last a day. Sometimes they last a few days. Sometimes they last a few weeks. Sometimes they last a few months. And it's a very natural thing in a bull market to go through. And so don't fear it. Just embrace it. I appreciate everybody joining me as always. Thanks so much for being subscribed, folks. Much love. Check out the description area. I got all my goodies down there. If you want to follow me on IG, you can do that. If you want free access to my workshop, that's down there. If you want to join my Patreon to support the channel, see the moves I'm making in the market, that's down there. If you want to apply for my private group, that's down there. What's not down there, okay? Appreciate y'all. Much love, and have a great day.